I want everyone to know that I am some kind of idiot because I have been sitting here for the past 15 minutes thinking that I was live. I was going through the whole bit. I had a constant stream of chatter build up. I'm already losing my voice. I was showing stuff off. I was doing doing the whole 9 yards, thinking that everybody could see and hear all the nonsense I was talking about. Well, that burned about 15 minutes of my evening. Let's start from the top. Okay, I'm going to start from the top with the same joke I entered. Hey, everybody, welcome to week number 14 of Raymond Chandler's Red Wind. Are you ready to talk about it? Here's where we read Raymond Chandler's Red Wind every week of the year of 2026. It says, yeah, okay, sure. Hello, Sephiros. It says, this is why I have trust issues. No. Watch your mouth. How do we know you're live now? Well, you don't, Steve. Actually, this is pre-recorded. Actually, Steve, what happened is I pre-recorded all of this. So all of this is going to be recorded about 2 days prior to when you're seeing it now, even this comment. And what happened is I've driven. I'm outside your house. Now, if you look outside, you're going to see a white Mercedes sitting in your driveway. There's going to be a man wearing a black hood sitting in the passenger seat. And if you want to see tomorrow, don't talk to that man. Wherever that came from. Okay. Going over all the things I just spent my time talking about. Hopefully it was a good rehearsal. So, okay. Well, I was going to kick off April showing off all the Tarzan novels I've accrued over the years. This is monkey business. I demand my 5,000 bananas back. You know perfectly well it was only 200 bananas to get into this joint. I have this big doorstopper copy of the Tarzan novels, Volume 1. This is put out by Ex Fontibus Company. This is, I didn't realize until just a little bit before I thought I was going live that this is a print-on-demand book, and it's pretty good quality for print on demand. But this covers the first 5 Tarzan novels, which of course is Tarzan of the Apes, The Return of Tarzan, The Beast of Tarzan, The Son of Tarzan, and Jungle Tales of Tarzan. On a big, nice, easy to hold, easy to read copy. And of course, they followed that up with Volume 2, which covers the next 4 novels. And they started with The Jewels of Opar, Tarzan the Untamed, Tarzan the Terrible, and ending it up with Tarzan and the Golden Lion. Says, man, tomorrow is overrated. That's right, it's the day after tomorrow that you want to be striving for. I'm going to Scotland's Book Town this weekend. Am I legally required to buy every ape book that passes its way into my vision? You can satisfy yourself with every other ape book, so long as it's a sufficient AP quality. But then I was going through, so I didn't just stop with those Tarzan books when I started snatching them up. Those 2 were gifts from, it must have been Christmas of 2019, I'm pretty sure. But anyways, here we have the Neil Adams cover for the Valentine edition of Tarzan of the Apes. And let's see, I opened this up a little bit ago. First printing July 1963. This is the 15th printing from 1979. Tarzan is a constant crowd pleaser. Always have him in circulation. The Return of Tarzan. I'm pretty sure all these I'm going to show you in the next little bit are from Neil Adams, though I'm not entirely sure, and I'm not opening up all this plastic to check. The Beast of Tarzan. I remember the scene. This is a pretty good depiction of a scene that's in the book, and it's pretty good. Can a book be too apey? Never. But I wouldn't I'd be careful what company I said that in. See, we have The Son of Tarzan. And so far in my own reading, I've read through Beast of Tarzan, and then I still need to get, all of them in at some point. But I keep going back and rereading just Tarzan of the Apes. I've read it maybe 4 or 5 times at this point. But at some point, I am gonna, go on and read books 4 through 22. Number 5, Tarzan and the Jewels of Opar. Now, if I remember correctly, Opar, when Tarzan first visits the city of Opar in The Beast of Tarzan, I'm pretty sure. That's what it is. Because Jane has been kidnapped by the Russian, so Tarzan, he's on the trail. I think that's what happens. My memory's a little foggy on that one. And he ends up finding this secret city out in the jungle that's been more or less forgotten about. I think that's the first time Opar shows up in the books. The Jungle Tales of Tarzan. And Jungle Tales should be a bunch of short stories about when Tarzan was still growing up with the apes in the jungle. Tarzan of the Apes is just a great book. It is more than just a great book. It is an excellent book. Outstanding. Stupendous. Are apes in every Tarzan book. Apes have been in every Tarzan book I have read so far. Now, I can't guarantee that there will be apes in all of them. I know it's possible. One of these books, it's number 13 in this series, is a crossover between Tarzan and the Hollow Earth, Pellucidar. Possibly there's apes in that one. I can't even remember if there were apes in the Pellucidar books that I've read so far. So maybe there's no apes in that one. I don't know. Why apes? Just for the pun? Is there a deeper purpose? There's always a deeper purpose, Jake. I mean, all of life and its significance and its mysteries, there's always more depth to be had in every endeavor, whatever it is. Okay, so number 7, Tarzan the Untamed. Big vulture on that one. Now, one thing I'm going to say to Nick's question, I don't know if there are apes in every Tarzan book. There are definitely not apes on the cover of every Tarzan novel. So here we go. Here we got Tarzan facing off against this funky Triceratops with, I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's got some spiny teeth, man. Tarzan the Terrible, which I'm sure is wonderful. Tarzan and the Golden Lion. Tell me the deeper purpose. Now. That wasn't an answer. Obfuscation Ape. That was one of Steve's band names in college. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Number 10, Tarzan and the Ant-Men. And this one, so there was a period in, I want to say it was either the late 70s or the 1980s, early to mid 1980s, over DC Comics when they were publishing The Atom. And there was a long stretch of The Atom where he got permanently shrunken down to be about that tall and was lost. I think it was in the South American rainforest, but it might have been on the African continent. And Tarzan the Ant-Man was definitely an inspiration for that. I can't say exactly in what way, but just Edgar Rice Burroughs was all over that little stint of The Atom. So number 11, Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle. Here we got an ape returning at last. And I like to think that it's Tarzan and the ape united against this snake. But it might be a 3-way battle where just everybody's trying to get at everybody else. Funky Triceratops with Steve's band in college. Oh yeah, that's the one. Because Monkey Rill doesn't make sense. Yeah, that's correct. You might have Monkey May, Monkey March, Monkey March and the Funky Bunch. APE-ril. Yep. Ape dos mil. That's a lot of ape. Ape dos bril. That's a lot of pril. Did I hold this one up? No, I did not. Tarzan and the Lost Empire. Apes again. One thing I know, I should have brought this down. It would have been nice to show. I have the 2-volume set of the biography of Edgar Rice Burroughs written by Erwin Porges, which is a fairly well-known, well-regarded biography inside Edgar Rice Burroughs discussion circles, right? And so I know from that a lot of these mid to late Tarzan novels, Tarzan discovers an extreme amount of secret and hidden and forgotten societies just scattered across Africa. It's astounding. Let's see, Tarzan at the Earth's core. That's the one I was talking about earlier, where he goes into the hollow earth. Does he meet David Innes? David Innes? Who knows? Number 14, Tarzan the Invincible. Like I said, I don't know if all of these covers are by Neil Adams, but that one definitely is. That's got Neil Adams written all over it. At least as far as I can figure. Number 15, Tarzan Triumphant. And this one's pretty good. I like the use of red in this one. That not only is it a good image, but it makes it stand out against all the other covers so far. It makes this one unique amongst a bunch of unique covers. So, Tarzan and the City of Gold. And this is another Lost Roman Legion Tarzan story. Where am I at? I'm missing something. This chat is busted. This stream is busted. He's responding to someone saying, prove it. I've missed something here. Monkey Mark and the Funky Bunch was Paul's improv troupe in the 90s. And troupe is the apt description. Your face is busted. Show us more books. I keep waiting for the April's Fool reveal. Here I am. And Tim, your AI face is busted. Woman's. Did I say that? No, this is the boys' club. No girls allowed. not when we're talking about Tarzan. Tarzan and the Lion Man. That's a lot of ape on that one. And pardon me if my voice sounds a bit off. We've been fighting a pox in this house. And it's got everybody a little croaky, a little creaky, a little bit off kilter. Tarzan and the Leopard Men. There we go. Tarzan's Quest. And that's what I say. I don't know that Neil Adams did all these because... No. Oh, hold on a second. Okay. So this one is a Neil Adams. And I can tell right off this was not Neil Adams. This is a Boris Vallejo cover. All right, so Neil Adams did not do all of them. He just did a lot of them. Tarzan and the Forbidden City. Another Boris Vallejo cover. If I can ever get anything in focus. It doesn't matter. You can look these up on your own time. In fact, why even watch this at all? Tarzan the Magnificent. I'm almost positive some of those were Frazetta. It's possible, and I just overlooked it, but I don't know. What I understand about Frazetta's work on the Edgar Rice Burroughs type covers, most of those were done in watercolor, at least ways for the Tarzan books. I'm pretty sure most of them were done in watercolor. And so for like an oil painting, I'm sure there's several of them should exist, but I don't know that any of them are in this stack. You know what I mean? So, because there aren't that many oil painting Tarzan Frazetta paintings. least so far as I'm aware. You probably know more about it than I do. Let's see, number 22. How did I get to 22? No, I guess there are 24. I miscounted. Number 22, Tarzan and the Foreign Legion. And that's a real legionnaire right there. That's what happens when you join sides with the French. That's what happens to you. Number 23, Tarzan and the Madman. Let's see. I might be thinking of the Ace editions. Probably so. Let's see. I don't have it here. Well, I don't have it at all, to be honest. But I have seen the original Ace edition of the Frazetta cover for Tarzan that is in the watercolor. What's the... there are like 3 of them done at the same time there. I think one of them might have been Princess of Mars. No, that's not right. It was just back-to-back Tarzan covers, I'm pretty sure, that Frazetta did in the watercolor. All of them great. Every one of them fantastic. I used the Tarzan image from that Frazetta cover in a thumbnail for a video I put up a month ago. Something like that. The Madman? Here I am. No. And here's the last of them. Number 24, Tarzan and the Castaways. Now, I've told this story once, but I wasn't around for you to hear it. When I was a kid at the library, the first time I read, okay, I'm going to start here and then back up again. The first time I ever read a Tarzan novel, front to back, finished it. I was already in college, so I must have been possibly 18 or 19 years old. No. Yeah, I must have been 18. Read Tarzan and the Apes, loved it. I've been in love with that novel ever since. But when I was a kid, single digit age range, at our library, there was the full array of hardback Tarzan novels, and they were in that, that indestructible hardcover like you'd find on a Hardy Boys or a Nancy Drew type book, if you know what I'm talking about, from way back in the day, from like the 60s. And if I remember right, this is the one I tried to read and didn't finish, because I remember there being an elephant on the cover of it. And I'm not going to open this up right now and check, but if this is the same novel that I tried to read, then the opening chapter has a bunch of people held prisoner on some ocean line, not an ocean liner, it's like a cargo ship. They're held prisoner, and then there's this one guy off to himself, held in a cage, and they only feed him raw meat. And that's what I remember from the opening of that book that I couldn't finish. It was just too far above my reading level at the time. But years later, when I discovered how cool Tarzan was, I remembered those books being there. So I went back to see if they were still there. And alas, they were all gone. They've disappeared. The chances of finding them again are absolute zero. But, that's just the way it is. They also had, this is kind of side tangent, but in that same format with like the super durable cover, they had all of the Star Trek novelizations for the episodes of the original series written by James Blish. And I remember reading one of those before I had ever seen an episode of Star Trek. And that's the only remember. I don't remember how I felt about it. I remember it was for the episode. The story I remember reading in that book was for the episode where they all beam down onto the planet that has the flowers that turn everybody into mindless hippies. That's the story I remember from reading from those Star Trek books. But that has nothing to do with apes. Do you have apes a-poppin'? No, it sounds wonderful. And let's see where I put it. It's on the bottom of a stack. Hold on. Oh. And this is the last of the Tarzan books I have. This is The Beast of Tarzan, which is printed by, Fall River Press. They do pretty good stuff. This is just an old beater copy I have. If I ever want to read Beast of Tarzan again, I'll just pull this one down instead of getting those wrist breakers. I have some red walls in that permabound format. They are indestructible. Yeah, those because those old covers that were made for little children and their grimy little hands to get on it and throw it around the room and throw it in a backpack and forget about it for 6 months and then pull it out again. I don't know why all books aren't made like that. Surely, in all the decades since then, bookbinding technology should have gotten to a level where just every hardcover book that comes out, even if on the surface of it, it looks like a prestige, leather-bound, whatever, inside, it should be that indestructible material. Anyways, that's all the Tarzan I've got to show off, just to kick off April and get everybody's gears a spinning. And let's see. No, I did not say this after I actually went live. When I was just sitting here talking to myself, I mentioned that Tim, our own dear beloved Tim from Secret Fire Books, if I remember correctly, he's going to be covering the return of Tarzan on his channel at some point, probably as a double feature with Tarzan of the Apes, which I look forward to seeing at some point. So what am I going to be getting into for April? Since I'm the one that's kicked this off, and I've got to have something to show for it. Well, first off, I'm about to finish with this. I'll probably finish this either tonight or in the next couple of days. This is The Last Battle. This is book number 7 of the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. And it's book number 7. Whether you're doing this in publication order or through the internal chronology of the books, it's still the very last one. And there's a character in here named Shift, who is an ape. He's very important to getting all of the plot kicked off. And like I say, I've read it before. I'm reading it again just to refresh all my memory about it. So I should be ready to talk about that the next couple of weeks or something like that. Let's see. Then from there, I should be moving on and reading Rogues in the House by Robert E. Howard. That's a very, if you're going to read a Conan story, there's essentially, well, I hate to say that. I really wouldn't know how anyone who's going to read Conan for the first time is probably going to start either with Rogues in the House, Tower of the Elephant, or Phoenix on the Sword. Possibly Red Nails, but probably not. I'd say of those 3 stories, you're probably going to start with one of those 3. So Rogues in the House, if you've even read just a little bit of Conan, you've probably gotten to this one. But this is the illustrated Del Rey edition. Here's just one of the illustrations here. A very sinister looking ape, to be sure. Not a whole lot of apes in this stream. Kind of disappointed. Man, this place was lousy with apes when we were showing those Tarzan covers. I mean, there had to be, 5-6 dozen? Just on that one cover, probably. Gosh, I haven't... Sorry, Tim. I haven't read Last Battle in forever. I forgot there was an ape in that book. Yeah, I forgot how much of that book had an ape in it. To be honest, I thought it was just the first chapter. And so I was prepared to read just the first chapter and kind of like cheat a little bit on getting through it. But no, he was much more important to the whole plot than I had remembered from when I'd read Last Battle as a kid. But it's a really good book. Obviously for kids, but even beyond that, it's a really good book. Is there an ape in that Conan book? Boy, howdy, is there ever. Hold on, let me see if I can find this real quick. In Queen of the Black Coast, if I could find it. There we go. Yeah. Got a little bit of that Wizard of Oz action going on this one. The winged ape. He's fighting a jackal down here. Yeah, man. There it is. And you're welcome. Anyways, I plan to get into Rogues in the House sometime during the month. And also sometimes during the month, Edgar Allan Poe's from this big honking, wrist-breaking volume, Murders in the Rue Morgue, which everyone knows the big twist ending of that one with the orangutan. If you didn't know, I'm sorry for spoiling that 200-year-old story for you. But here's what I didn't know. I was flipping through this the other day just to know that I could find, one, so that I know I could find Murders in the Rue Morgue in this volume, and second, to know that it actually is complete and the story was actually going to be in here. Murders in the Rue Morgue has a sequel. I didn't know that. Now, realistically thinking about that, I know that it must be a sequel and that the same detective appears in both stories. I am hoping that it is a sequel in the essence that the orangutan comes back. You know what I mean? That's what I'm hoping happens. Anyways, we got that coming up. Let's see. Who we got here? I just remember Tash appearing out of nowhere and being terrifying. And Susan goes to hell at the end. Yeah, technically correct on both parts. Worthwhile read. Somewhere in here, I hope to get at. Oh, I forget the name of the story. Let's see. H.P. Lovecraft's Facts Concerning the Late Arthur Jermyn and His Family, which, when it was published, as I've learned the other day, when that story was first published in Weird Tales, yeah, it was Weird Tales, I'm pretty sure, the editor, against Lovecraft's wishes, changed the title of that to The White Ape. So that's one I have not read before. I don't know anything about it, really. So, hope to get into that one at some point. So those are all, should be all, the different prose novels and short stories I intend to get at through the month. Of course, if I finish them up really quick, I'll probably jump onto something else or just sit back and relax and while the time away. I have some comics I hope to get into, and did I leave them laying around? I did. So I'm planning to get into some comic books throughout the month and just talk about some different things. This one is a Six-Gun Gorilla Long Days of Vengeance by Brian Christgau and Adrian Sibar. This is volume 1. This is, I want to say, issues 1 through 6. This is an independently published comic book. This guy published it in single issues and then put out a trade. And the next volume of the trade is in crowdfunding, but apparently the guy went broke. And so getting that into production has been a bit of a trial for him. But anyways, this is based on the classic and infamous novel Six-Gun Gorilla. And I'm sure Check Your Shelf. I'm pretty sure Paul from Check Your Shelf mentioned something about talking about the novel over on his channel. So at some point when I start talking about comic books with different apes in them, I'm probably going to bring this one up and talk about it a little bit. Let's see. This one here, we have Black Sad. And Black Sad, you don't know. I'm pretty sure it's a Spanish comic book. But the creator of it is Spanish. Whether or not the original edition is in Spanish, I don't know, because it's published initially through a French company for the European market. But this one, Black Sad, if you didn't know, essentially answers the question of what if Dashiell Hammett wrote movies for Walt Disney? And it's noir, it's crime, it's hard-boiled detective fiction with talking animals. And then here, the first story in this three-story volume, Somewhere Within the Shadows, there is an ape in here, if I can find it. There we go. And I hope to talk about that sometime this month when I get around to it. He's not incredibly, the ape in this story is not super prominent in here, but the scene he appears in is a good scene. So there should be something in there to talk about. See, that's a fun HP story. Also very gross. I can imagine. Yeah. I always wanted to read Black Sad. Yeah, tell me about it. Black Sad. The first Black Sad I read, I don't think it's in this volume. I think it was called Amarillo. It's the one where he goes on the road. I think that's no. I'm forgetting. There's like 5 or 6 Black Sad stories at this point. I forget which one was the first that I read. Great series. It just in his general concepts, just in writing of it, the plot of it, very good detective story, especially Comic books tend to have a little bit of difficulty with detective stories of that type. But these do really well. And just on top of that, the art is second to none in like the acting of the characters and the framing and just the whole 9 yards. It works perfectly for what it is. It's a book that knows exactly what it is and what it wants to achieve and what it's going for, and then it does it, which which it shouldn't be that low a bar, but there yet we are. I wrote a very similar concept about a black cat detective in high school and then realized that comic existed and quickly abandoned it. There's always room for two. You know what I mean? You put two of them out there. And even if you don't finish it, send that document to me. And just for my own curiosity. And heck, maybe I'll finish it. Or I'll add it to the pile of things that I haven't finished. Anyway, here we have Rogues. This is from DC Comics Black Label. I don't know if DC Comics is still doing Black Label books, but for a while, when I knew that they were putting out Black Label books, it was DC Comics saying, "Hey, we're going to write books specifically for an adult audience," as if that hasn't just been the audience for the past 30 years. I don't know any kid that reads comic books. I was a kid that read comic books, never saw another one. But anyways, and this one, Rogues, it is the Rogues Gallery of the Flash years after they all should have retired. In fact, it's kind of like an Over the Hill Gang concept a little bit. But Mr. Freeze, he's got one last score planned, and he's going to rob the gold out of Gorilla City. There's a big secret society somewhere in the African jungle that houses hyper-intelligent gorillas. And they have this whole secret city that they can't be found from the outside. You have to go into it in order to see it. And there's this old one. I talked about this a little bit in an email I sent to Steve, Check Your Steve, about this old comic called Angel and the Ape, which I've only seen a little bit of it. But the basic concept behind Angel and the Ape was that there was this ape, this hyper-intelligent speaking ape, making his way as a private detective with his girlfriend, who was this knockout blonde. And he had to keep it a secret that he was a big talking gorilla. Everyone just thought he was this ugly Neanderthal looking guy. So stupid. But in the 90s, when everything in the 90s was getting this grim and gritty exterior put onto it, for whatever reason, Vertigo, which is owned by DC Comics, Vertigo put out the grim and gritty Angel and the Ape miniseries, which I want to find at some point and read it, because that has to be so unintentionally hilarious. It's just it's so dumb and stupid, but it's hilarious. But anyways, that character is in here. This is the ape from Angel and the Ape, and he ends up having a pretty big impact on the story when all the rogues finally get into Gorilla City in order to steal all this gold. I've read this before. It's pretty good. If you're not, you have to know some stuff going in. So if you don't know at least a little bit about the Flash and his villains before going in, you're probably gonna have a bad time. But in spite of that, good book, good story, good art. Some other things here. I'm probably not gonna talk about this one too much unless I just get through a lot of other stuff really quick. This is the Secret Society of Supervillains. There on the cover is the villain Gorilla Grodd, a particular denizen of the Gorilla City we were just talking about. Here we have the omnibus for the Silver Age Doom Patrol. I like an omnibus volume just because I like having everything in one place. But man, like all these books are just so heavy, just so hard to hold. Anyways, let's see if I can find what I'm looking for. There is a particular villain for the Doom Patrol that is part of the Brotherhood of Evil. See, I almost had it. He's an ape, an intelligent ape. Let's see. There we go. And he's the hands and feet, essentially, of this living brain in a jar, called the brain. And it all showed up here. And Doom Patrol's a great book. It's weird. It was weird even in the '60s when it was put out. It's the closest thing 1960s DC Comics put out that was almost like the X-Men, almost like Fantastic Four. That's a really good one. They rebooted it a bunch of times, particularly in, I want to say, like the late '70s, the Bronze Age era, with Grant Morrison writing it. I haven't read the Grant Morrison stuff for Doom Patrol, but I've heard about it, and for that reason, I don't want to find it because I don't like what he did to the Chief. But that's a whole separate issue. Anyways, there's a big ape in that one. Yes. Curiosity killed the ape, Levi. Well, that's possible. Oh, now get your own half-baked concepts. But I want yours. It's easier that way. I have Felidae, which is a book about a cat investigating the murder of another cat. Sounds interesting. Just in like the cat's going off doing things. Let's see, it was Paul from Geeks Love Dogs. There's a recent video he did. I say recent, I mean in like the past 6 weeks. He was talking about some cat book. Not the cat girl book, just a book about cats. I forget what it was. But also that reminds me of those middle grade Warrior Cat books. It's got about like 1 million different ones of those, if you've ever heard of them. Well, we're talking about apes. Enough with the cats. We're talking about apes. Here's something I got just recently. This book was just published in the past couple of weeks. This is the Strong Take 2, the Tom Strong Compendium 2. And this one, I was glad I found out this was coming out, because the different things that are included in this are extremely hard to find for any sort of reasonable price. But I plan on talking about Tom Strong, the book. Anyways, what does this have to do with apes? There's an ape. Where is he? Right there. That's Solomon. That is Tom Strong's friend, assistant, lab experiment. He's a talking ape, a sort of a parody of 2 different characters from Doc Savage, as you know, the whole bit. Put the words in order. Okay. Anyways, here's volume 1 of Tom Strong, not the compendium, but just the regular comic book series, the title. Now, Solomon appears a little bit towards the end of the first issue, but the real issue he's first in properly, with actually something to do, ends up being issue 2. And there he is. If you can see him, he's going through the sewers, armed with a golf club, trying to kill robots. Man, Tom Strong, all the characters in Tom Strong are really good. The skinny on Tom Strong is, it's a little bit Tarzan, a little bit Doc Savage, a whole lot of Golden Age comic books, and it's just this. It's from Alan Moore and Chris Sprouse through the publishing company America's Best Comics, which was done through Wildstorm. Yeah, through Wildstorm, which was eventually subjugated by DC Comics. It's a whole thing. Never mind. Tom Strong is just a great comic in and of itself, but it's also the series as a whole is this broad overview of all of American comic books from the, say from 1900, when the only comic book at the time was Yellow Kid, all the way up to what was in present day, which this first issue was printed in 1999. It ran until, I want to say 2003 or 2004. No. Yeah, it must have been like 2003. I want to talk about Tom Strong a lot in depth at some point. Probably not this month. I'll probably just be focusing on Solomon if I talk about Tom Strong at all. But I just kind of wanted to show that off a little bit. Okay, I'm falling behind. Strom Tong. There's there's one of these issues of Tom Strong where it's one of those things where he gets mind controlled and shunted off into this other universe where he never became a hero. And so in this universe, he's just a working class stiff with a wife that harps on him all the time and a job he hates and a manager that is just looking for any excuse to fire him for being a clumsy and stupid or whatever. Anyways, the mind control is starting to break down. He's starting to wake up from this Matrix-like state that he's been placed in. So one thing you got to know about Tom Strong. Tom Strong's home is an island called APE-ril. So in the story where he's being mind controlled and he doesn't remember who he is anymore, but all that's starting to shake loose. He's on a phone at a bar talking to this wife that hates him. And she has where are you? And he says, I'm at a bar. And then somewhere in the back, some guy yells, Taru. It is the most contrived, nonsensical setup for like him to sport. Like, I remember everything now. So goofy. That I have my problems with it. That one particular Tom Strong story, as interesting as it might have been if it had been handled differently, that's one of the later ones when Alan Moore had quit writing for Tom Strong and everything else was just like guest writers coming in all the time. So it was some of those are a little bit subpar compared to the ones Alan Moore wrote specifically. Yeah, that's what that reminded me of. My niece is a Warrior Cats fanatic. She would tell you everything. Cool, man. Everybody needs like the one series that they can like either the one book or the one series they can focus in on, especially when they're a kid, and just go top to bottom and know everything there is about it. I think that's one of the best things about books, especially when you're in that middle grade age. Alan Moore can't write a bad book. Always buy Tom Strong when I say Issues in the Wild. Yeah. I'm not a super collector. If I was, I would get the individual issues, but I'm satisfied just having the collections. Like I say, I really like an omnibus volume. If I can get one of those, then I'm usually satisfied. But individual issues. I got some individual issues of something to show off here in a minute, but I was holding off on those because they don't actually have anything to do with apes. I just wanted to get them out and talk about them, and this was the perfect opportunity. He says, I don't know. That's kind of hilarious. Talking about APE-ril. It's goofy. If I went back and read it now, it probably would have a little bit of humor to it. It's probably what was trying to the guy was trying to get at, because it's not really that serious story, even though it's trying to like deal with some more heady concepts about how Tom Strong views himself as a person and all this sort of thing. But yeah, it was pretty funny. Man, I need wouldn't do it on a live stream because obviously I can't put all the words in the right order just off the bat. But I would love to do a whole bit on Tom Strong. What I would like to do is just go through Tom Strong and do a video on every individual issue, just from here till I get to the end of it. That's what I would like to do at some point. But it's another thing on the list of things that I haven't finished yet. Let's see. Let me look around. Is that all I have here at the moment? Well, while I'm here, another thing that's no apes to it, but it's just something I got recently. So instead of making a whole book haul for 2 books, being this and the Tom Strong book I just showed you, this is the 2018 If Anthology from Alternate Comics. This is the horror theme of the anthology. They had several of these, I think, going as far back as 2015 and 2016, which one of them was superheroes. I have there it is, the 2017 If Anthology, which was crime themed. Alternate Comics is one of those comic book institutions that I like to patronize, give my patronage as often as is convenient for me. They generally put out pretty interesting books. Not all of them are suited to my taste, but I generally like them. They're the ones who put out Blood Realm, which I showed off in a video ages ago. They did Scrimshaw, which I think everyone should seek out. What was it called? Midnight Mystery is the one, which is Midnight Mystery is as if they did Kolchak the Night Stalker in the style of Batman the Animated Series. And it irks me to no end that that series of books had no conclusion. They get, let's see. Make ape noises. Get us in the spirit. It's not for a clip I'll use or anything. Don't do it, Levi. You'll be the booktube monkey man before you know it. I'll tell you, Jake, there's a clip of you from the last Eve's live stream. And I'm not going to imitate it here and give you ammunition, but like I want to find a use for it. And if you think about it, you'll probably, go back and see what it is. But I want to find a use for it somewhere. I'm just waiting. I'm biding my time. Let's see. Almost speaking of alternate comics, I have something to show off here, which is Horace H. Hoover. And this is what I was talking about that doesn't have any apes involved with it. I just wanted to show it off and talk about it a little bit. I have issues. I have issues 1 through 4, which is a supposedly 5-issue miniseries. Issue 5, I don't even know if it's in production yet. But this was originally published. Issues 1 and 2 were originally published through Alternate Comics. There was some falling out between the creator and the publisher, the details of which I'm not privy to, and I don't remember much of anything else that I was told about that. But anyways, issues 3 and on have been self-published by the writer and artist Fabrizio Aiello. This Horace H. Hoover, he's New York's #1 occult detective, and he's a man who uses as a helmet a Hoover vacuum cleaner. And he is an eloquent, a loquacious man, skilled in the art of pugilism and all the weird things that can go on. Can we see this? There we go. It's a fun book. It's a little bit Hellboy, a little bit Hanna-Barbera. It's not taking itself too seriously, but what it does well. All right, it's a quirky book, but what it does well above other books that try to be quirky is that it understands that Horace H. Hoover should be the weirdo. Now, there's a lot of strange and fantastic elements to this, but everybody else is more or less grounded. They're more or less played straight. Other characters aren't made a joke of. And not that Horace H. Hoover is made a joke of, but he's the one, in a weird world, he's the weird guy. But he's just so pure-hearted, so true of heart, so optimistic and honest that he's completely oblivious to how at odds he is with all the rest of his society. There's issue 2 with the book bug. Like I say, issues 1 through 3 of this are collected in a trade paperback that should be on Amazon. I have them in the single issue formats by accident. So I went on the last campaign this guy had for issue number 4. I went and supported that, and so I got issue number 4. And what I didn't realize is that I didn't have issue number 3. So I had to search around really quick and find issue number 3 somewheres and abouts. Anyways, I ended up getting all the ones that have been put out so far. Like I say, it's a fun book. It's not... I'm always turning my back to speaking to the microphone. It's not anything mind-blowing, but it is just fun, and it's really well made for an independent book, Gonna skip those. I love that Hulk cover behind you. What issue is that? I don't actually know. That this particular picture, it came off a wall calendar for 2 years ago, something like that. So that's just some panel from some Hulk book. Just looking at it, I'm gonna guess it's from the 1980s, maybe the early 90s, which either I never knew or I'm forgetting who would have been drawing the Hulk at that time. Hot take, Hulk is just a green ape. Prove me wrong. It depends. It depends. The very earliest Hulk was Jekyll and Hyde, very, very specifically and clearly stated by the creators of the Hulk. It was a take on the Jekyll and Hyde concept. Later writers getting a hold of this turned it into just a mindless rage machine, which in the instance he would have been more ape-like in certain qualities. See, when Len Wein started writing for the Hulk in early 70s, was it the early? It was in the 1970s. I don't know which side of that it was. When Len Wein was writing for the Hulk, he had the idea that the Hulk was essentially just a child in this grand destructive body. That's how he wrote him. And then later it got into all John Byrne and people got into whole different kinds of stuff and made it weird. Shaved ape. Gray Hulk is 100% ape. Yeah, it depends. Like I say, if it's the really early Gray Hulk, yes. If it's the later John Byrne Gray Hulk, Mr. Fix-It, Joe Fix-It type character, he's far too intelligent to be just an ape. And don't get started on Red Hulk. Red Hulk, man. Red Hulk is one of those ideas that, in hindsight, is inevitable and also surprising that it had never been done sooner. You know what I mean? Like Red Hulk is an idea that you would have thought the extravagance of the 1990s would have done, but you had to wait all the way up until I think, what was it, 2011? No, that's not right. It's 2007 or 2008. You had to wait. People had to wait that long for Red Hulk to come around. Levi is ape. That's right. Is there a color out of space Hulk? At some point, there's going to be. You've had Hulks of pretty much every color: gray, green, red. There was a purple Hulk in, I want to say it's 2015. No, it wasn't that long ago. It was pre-COVID, so maybe 2017 to 2018. There was a variation of the Hulk that hulked out because of how sad he was. And he was purple and called himself Clue. Apes together strong. That's right. That's why we're all of us, you too, Jake, are going to be participating in APE-ril. And Jake, you can't get out of it because I know somewhere in that stack of books, there is a science fiction book with an ape on the cover. Hopefully an ape inside, but the cover is enough. Oh boy. I'm about running out of steam. That's about all the things I needed to cover. I'd rather die. That's a bit morbid, don't you think? Come on, everybody just cool off. Chill, relax. Apes together, relax. But let me see, look around here. Did I get to everything? Pretty much. So let me just wrap it up with the next little bit of this. Oh, well, I'll write this and then wrap it up. I definitely have at least one sci-fi book with an ape on it. But I can't read. That's the trouble a lot of us have. Here's a... Yes, TOBA Hulk was Lovecraftish. TOBA. I should know what the initials for TOBA are, but I'm forgetting. The only tag I'll ever have is the eventual one on my toe. If Nick can get pressured into a reading event, you can be too, Jake. That's what I'm saying. Everybody, whatever the next Pulp Mortem video is, doesn't matter. Could be any topic, any book, any author. Whatever his next video he puts out is. Every comment is ape, 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 ape. Nothing else. And we'll get him. We'll get him. The one below. Yeah, the one below all. This is a complete sidetrack to everything else I was talking about. If I remember right, the one below all Hulk was the... it was never a physical manifestation of the Hulk, if I remember right. That's when the character Doc Samson used the hypnotism kind of stuff to get inside Bruce Banner's mind. And that was sort of like this demonic entity. That was a internal manifestation of all of Bruce Banner's insecurities that caused him to Hulk out. If I remember right. No, I'd rather kiss an oncoming train. Jake, you don't have to say that in public. You keep that in your own bedroom. Okay, so Jake, he needs this information as well as everybody else. If you want to participate in APE-ril, what you need to do is find a book, fiction, nonfiction, whatever you want, that involves apes. It can be a little bit of ape. It can be a whole lot of ape. It can be an ape on the cover. It can be an ape on the interior. Right? Any subject. It can be a horror novel, science fiction, history, whatever you want. And once you're done reading it, just get it here on BookTube and tell us what you think about it. Tell us what you read, all the good stuff. I think it's about to storm. You know all the deal. Jake needs to APE-ril this month and read The Hobbit with me and Chris and Virgil next month. Absolutely. In fact, there are no apes in The Hobbit, unfortunately, for the month. I'll consider joining Levi if you make ape noises. Well, the word consider is not doing a whole lot of heavy lifting there, Jake. And I'll be honest, all the books I've shown so far have talking apes. So this whole stream has been ape noises, technically, according to the fiction that's on array here. I mean, I started with The Last Battle that has a talking ape in it. So it's all ape noises. Don't you believe? I don't believe it. Not for the second or minute. You are lost. I think you're going to do it in spite of all this. Just the odds, right? The odds about reading an ape book are not great, considering the books you've read on your channel so far, Jake. But just because all of this is going on, I think the odds of you finally picking a book with an ape in it have gone up. So all month long, right? It's going to be this thing. You're like, oh, I'm going to read this book. It's like, darn it, there's an ape in it. And then you can't talk about it because of all this, right? And you're like, I'm not going to follow the trend. And you're going to pick up the next one. And there's going to be an ape in it of some description. But yeah, Jake over here saying that he's not going to join in on April when every year he's like, well, guys, it's Fantasy February, or all month long I'm going to read these fantasy books. Right, you do that already. But unless anybody else has something else to say to convince Jake to join in on April, I think I'll be signing off here just in the next little bit. If you have anything to add, you can put it in the chat real quick. If you have any suggestions for April, something that we should read, something we should look at, something we should pay attention to, books, comics, movies, whatever, just go ahead and feel free to drop it here. Like I say, these are the things I'll be going over in April. Secret Fry Books. He said he's going to be talking about the return of Tarzan, at least the return of Tarzan, possibly also Tarzan of the Apes. Over on Check Your Shelf channel, I'm pretty sure they're involved. They're going to be doing something about Six Gun Gorilla and possibly King Kong, possibly something else. I don't know. I'll be surprised and just as glad as anything when I see it with all the rest of you. I believe the lady protests too much. Yes, the Pope Mortem protests too much. Jake, if you read an ape book, I'll be your best friend. Jake needs more friends like he needs a hole in the head. I might haul an ape book. You can haul it from your shelf to your sitting room and sit down and read it. Pose Murders at the Morgue. Yeah, Murders of the Rue Morgue. I talked about that one possibly before you got here a little bit. I plan on getting that one this month at some point, hopefully. I'll also be reading a bit of Rogues in the House on Saturday. Excellent. Here's what I want. I thought about this when all this April stuff came up, and knowing the circle I surround myself with, I was like, if I set this off, everyone's going to read Rogues in the House. And at this point, I want everyone to read Rogues in the House. Everyone, here's the thing. Here's the next rule of April. Read whatever you want, then read Rogues in the House. You know what I mean? Before the end of the month, I want everybody here to have a video up where they're talking about Rogues in the House. And if we need a date, let's get a date for it. All right? Sometime towards the middle of the month. Everybody, by the 17th, okay? By April 17th, you must have read and recorded and uploaded a video talking about rogues in the house. Let's just do it. Nice choice, Tim. Very nice. I don't know the meaning of this word. I've already jabbered so much I've forgotten what word that might be. Okay. And that's all the chat caught up with. Happy reading, everybody. I hope if you pick an 8 book, I hope you pick a good one. I'll just put it like that. And all these things. Good night.